NDC on fire over withdrawal of its parliamentary candidate barely 5 months to the 2024 general elections, accusing him of engaging in anti-party conduct and immoral act. But the National Executive Committee of the NDC says the decision was taken without the approval and considers it as inappropriate. We'll update you on what really is happening in the constituency and also speak to a senior political science lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Oche. Well, real estate developers allowed proposed legislative instrument seeking to control pricing of cement by Minister K.T. Hammond, Minister of Trade, despite pushback from dealers of the product.
With the principle that there should be some form of regulation and there should be a formula by which we can all at least calculate and predict and say that, okay, in a month's time, given this kind of calculation and formula, I'm projecting that the building that I'll be putting up that, next month, that will take about 8 months or that will take about 6 months to complete. I can reasonably project.
Also, Cyber Security Authority cautions public against subscribing to digital lending mobile applications as it reveals a resurgence in cases of cyberbullying and extortion tactics using nude photos of victims. And later, a government announces release of over 103 million CDs as grant for LEAP program. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
And many thanks for choosing us this evening. To our first story, the National Democratic Congress in the Asin Central constituency is on fire following the withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu as its parliamentary candidate. The embattled candidate has been accused of engaging in anti-party conduct and immoral act. Mr. Shaibu has also been suspended from the party. Let's take a listen to excerpts of the statement signed by the Central Regional Secretary of the party, Gabriel Nikomi Adams.
Starr today, first, fast, and crazy.
Following the interrogation and deliberations on the report of immoral act and anti-party conduct received by AFEC against the Asin Central Parliamentary candidate Nurain Shaibu Mijima at the AFEC meeting held on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, the Regional Functional Executive Committee, after conducting its preliminary investigation and examining the matter minutely and exhaustively, further consulted key stakeholders in the region and the leadership of the party at the national level, resolved that Nurain Shaibu Mijima be withdrawn as the 2024 Asin Central Parliamentary candidate of the NDC with immediate effect. Furthermore, AFEC has suspended Nurain Shaibu Mijima forthwith for 6 months and has referred the matter to the Regional Disciplinary Committee. Also, the party membership of Nurain Shaibu Mijima stands suspended until the final determination of his case by the Regional Disciplinary Committee.
We were trying to speak to the NDC communications officer for the Asin Central constituency, Manuel Abdoni, who is supposed to give us some reactions from that. But we understand that the NDC in the Asin Central constituency is on fire following the withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu as its parliamentary candidate. While the embattled candidate has been accused of engaging in anti-party conduct and immoral act. Mr. Shaibu has also been suspended from the party, and you just heard excerpt of a statement signed by the Central Regional Secretary of the party, Gabriel Nikomi. But we also understand that the NDC communications we also understand that the National Executive Committee of the NDC says the decision was taken without the approval and considers this withdrawal as inappropriate. Well, my colleague Adam Kojo is in the studio with details of that statement there. Adam.
Yes, Dede.
What more do we know?
Yeah, so this is the biggest story. We all woke up this morning only to find out that a statement circulating, purportedly signed by the Regional Communications Officer of the NDC in the Central Region, basically suspending the the member or the parliamentary candidates rather for the Asin Central area. And we've heard lots of allegations and counter allegations happening in there. And then what we've seen and we've realized is that this is what is going on. But however, as everyone kept asking, because remember that it wasn't only as a removal of him as a PC, but also it included what was said to be a 6-month suspension from the party. And usually an outright suspension of the party, one would believe that such a decision would be taken by the National Executive Committee. So throughout the day, we've been here waiting and hoping to see what exactly the National Executive Committee makes of this. And finally, we've got a statement from the National Executive Committee signed by the General Secretary, Fifi Fiavi Kweti. And it reads, invitation to appear before the Functional Executive Committee over unlawful withdrawal of Asin Central parliamentary candidate. So this letter is basically written to the regional chairman, the central regional chairman of the NDC, and it reads, I bring you warm greetings from the National Secretariat of the National Democratic Congress. The leadership of the party has taken notice of a document in circulation on social media purported to be coming from the regional secretariat of the central region titled Withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu Mijima as NDC's 2024 parliamentary candidate of the Asin Central constituency with immediate effect. The said letter seeks to communicate a decision of the Regional Functional Executive Committee in respect of the withdrawal of the Asin Central parliamentary candidate to the constituency chairman and the secretary. The above mentioned action, if true, was taken without the approval of the National Executive Committee and is considered inappropriate and in contravention of due process and the provisions of Article 40, 41, 46, and 48 of the NDC Constitution. In lieu of that, you are thereby requested to appear before the national leadership of the party on Tuesday, 2nd July 2024 at 2 p.m. together with your regional secretary to explain how this letter was sent out without the approval of the party national leadership. So, Awisi Dede, this officially is the statement from the National Executive Committee signed by the General Secretary, Fifi Fiavikwete, which basically says two things: that to the best of the National Executive Committee's knowledge,
they are not aware.
They are not aware of this. The constituency chairman and the constituency secretary basically did not inform them of what exactly was going on. They also say that this was done in contravention with due process and provisions of Articles 40, 41, 46, and 48 of the NDC Constitution. We are likely to also speak to some leadership of the party, but Dede, I know you have more for us.
Okay, thank you so much, Adam Kojo, giving us update of the National Executive Committee of the NDC, saying that the decision was taken without the approval and considers this withdrawal as inappropriate. But let's go over the phone line and speak to a political science analyst, Dr. Jonathan Asante Autry, speaking. Has joined me on the phone for more. Hello, Doc, and thank you for making time to join us on Starr today. Briefly, do you believe that the accusation of anti-party conduct, and specifically immoral act, are sufficient ground for such a decision?
Oh, I did not hear the latter part of your question.
I was asking, what is your general assessment of the fact that the parliamentary candidates, barely 5 months to elections, has been suspended? What do you make of this whole development?
Well, let me say good evening to your listeners. It's quite strange, and I don't really know the administrative considerations that were put in place before the regional, executive took that particular decision. But if you look at the pros and cons, obviously I do not know the kind of mess that the PC might have committed, for which reason it will warrant such a heinous or hefty punishment. I mean, whatever the offense, may be, to decide to take such a decision would mean that it is going to affect the mother party itself, the mother party's interest. And so one would have thought that they would have taken it through the process of even getting to the highest or the pinnacle of the executive, arm of the party. I felt that would have been an appropriate means of exacting such a punishment, because the punishment as it comes, along is quite hefty, and it surprises me. I mean, suspending the person for 6 months, and what do you intend to gain? Is it the case that you now want to organize a new, primaries for that particular constituency? What about the cost implications? I mean, if it is not something that is there, I think that they can easily resolve such an issue behind the scenes instead of, roping the media into the fray.
But Doc, isn't it worrying that the National Executive Committee is saying that they are not aware of this particular decision and they are actually considering describing this decision as inappropriate?
Yes, it's quite surprising, because the regional secretary is someone that I know, and I know the chairman as well, the regional chairman. And so the style of the regional secretary that I know of, I think that he usually act, having in mind the dictates of the constitution of the party and certain administrative principles. So if such a blunder is committed, by that particular team, it's quite surprising. I don't want to think that it is an order by the chairman of which the secretary gets obliged. But if it is a team decision, then it is quite surprising, because a decision such as that does not only affect the regional interest, not only does it affect the constituency interest, it affects national interest. Therefore, a decision of that nature should have gone through a administrative, machinery. And I'm really, really surprised that something like that has happened. Thankfully, the national executive is suggesting to us that something like that sort has not been brought to their attention. And so I think that it is something that, some amends can be made.
What do you think would this mean to the party? I mean, considering the fact that the NDC have been struggling to win the seats in 2000, what would this mean for the party, with the fact that we also have just barely 5 months to the elections?
Well, in a place where you've struggled over the period, what you don't need is, ninth-hour confusion that will rather reduce the numbers that are likely to vote for your candidate. And so I think that it's a bad publicity for the party, and they will have to iron out their differences. If it is someone that is undermining the PC, I think that they can easily deal with that. We know the politics, jockeying for position and recognition and all those things. And so something of that sort, they need to deal with it behind the scenes. And because I think it is a negative publicity for the party, especially in the constituency that happens to be the stronghold of the ruling party. And probably because Mr. Kennedy is leaving the scene, that could present, an opportunity to the party. So
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jonathan Asante there. He's a political science analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. He was speaking to me there on the back and forth in the Central constituency, where we understand the NDC in that particular constituency is on fire because of the withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu, who is their parliamentary candidate. The embattled candidate has been accused of engaging in anti-party conduct and immoral acts. Mr. Shaibu has also been suspended from the party. We are trying to speak to the NDC communications officer for the Ascent Central, Emmanuel Abdoni, and who also speaks for the embattled parliamentary candidates, but we're trying to speak to him. Understand he's on the line now. Hello, sir. Thank you for making time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Right. The party withdrew and suspended Lorraine, citing anti-party conduct and immoral act. You are the communications officer for that particular constituency. What really happened to warrant the sanction?
First of all, I'm not a communication officer.
Okay.
I'm the Deputy National Communications Officer.
Is this Godwin?
Yeah, this got.
Right. So, Godwin, briefly, the party in the central region have withdrew and suspended Nurain Shaibu, citing anti-party conduct and immoral act. What really happened? What do you know about this particular situation?
First of all, conducting parliamentary elections, it's the sole responsibility of national executives. The selections of our parliamentary candidates are always done by the national executives. So nobody at the region or constituency can write a letter and say, I have revoked somebody's candidature as a parliamentary candidate. So that is where our emphasis is.
So you're concerned about the power the Central Regional Command has to make such a decision. So in essence, that's why you're describing the withdrawal as inappropriate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And secondly, let me also add that if you accuse somebody of an immoral act, immorality is very broad. We can say anything that society abhors is immoral. So, on what basis are you saying you have suspended somebody for an immoral act? Because a lot of the things that we do, for instance, excuse me to say, if I decide to pee on the roadside, it's an immoral act. Am I going to be suspended because I was driving and I felt stressed and I stood somewhere and urinated? It's too vague. It's too vague. You understand? So that is why we have decided to withdraw the letter of the regional executive.
Okay. I'm sure the decision to suspend him was because of a lot of issues. Are you saying that the party is now getting wind of the situation in Asin Central?
What I'll say is that, first of all, when issue concerning parliamentary candidates come up, the region may decide, or the region will first of all decide to address it. If it goes beyond the region, it must come to the national executives, and that is how the structures work.
So does NEC or the NDC considers Nurain Shaibu as a parliamentary candidate for Asin Central?
Exactly. He's still the parliamentary candidate that we have in Asin Central. Sorry.
Okay. The party is also looking, per your statement, you're also looking to meet the regional chairman on 2nd July. What should we expect between now and then?
No, what the party or decisions that the party will take remains to the party. It can't be an issue to be discussed on air.
Okay. All right. But I'm curious, would there be any sanctions for the regional chairman for doing such a thing?
He's been asked to come and explain why. So I think that is where our emphasis should be. And we have high respect for our regional chairman, our regional executives, high respect for them.
All right.
So I cannot say that somebody will be sanctioned or not. You see, sometimes when some issues come up, for the best of the party or for the best of the individual, we sometimes hurriedly take some decisions thinking it will be in the best interest of the person or the party. But if it goes sour, you cannot just, throw the bathwater away with the baby. So I think that he may have a reason that made him and the executives take that decision. So let's wait till then.
Okay, thank you so much. That was the Deputy National Communications Officer for the NDC, Godwin Akogan, there.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
Still listening to Starr Today. Let's move away to other stories. The real estate developers have lauded the proposed legislative instrument seeking to control pricing of cement by Trade Minister Katie Hammond, despite pushback from dealers of the product. We know there were calls by the Cement Manufacturers, Importers and Exporters Association to have the LI, which was introduced by the Trade Minister, thrown out of Parliament. The Minister, Katie Hammond, in justifying the essence of the LI, believes the legislative instrument, when passed, would ensure that customers are not fleeced. Let's hear Katie Hammond addressing the press in Parliament on the matter.
For a long time, you never see cement prices de-escalating. It's always escalating. It's always going up through the ceiling, through the roof, and towards the skies. Somehow, something has to be done about this. At a point in time, we were not producing so much cement in the country. Now we have an installed capacity of over 11 million tons in the country. Our demand is nothing like 11 million, so it must be a very profitable enterprise. But I think it behoves on those in responsible positions in authority to ensure that the good people of Ghana are not fleeced. I am not comfortable. I don't believe that we're getting good prices for all that it's worth. I think there's something fundamentally wrong with the pricing of cement in the country. It was about the same issue that we tackled when we were at the Ministry of Energy. We recall in the early administrative part of administration of President Kufuor, we decided to introduce the National Petroleum Authority. That is what it's now regulating. The system that we put in place, it was now regulating petroleum pricing in the country. There are some items which are of such considerable importance to the country. It's for the general use of everyone. Petroleum products, there's nothing anyone can do about it. I mean, it's a kind of sine qua non. We all would have to, at one point or the other, depend on petroleum products. No doubt about that. Cement has acquired that kind of has acquired that status. Every sector of the economy, your house, your whatever project, whatever, you require cement for that purpose. Now, I take the view that it's about time that the country was better served by those who are selling this product to us. You come to Accra, you have, it used to be 80, whatever. When I last checked with those in the sector, was a situation where they said they were selling at 80-something cities, but the next they knew somebody was selling at 90-something and was without authority. And it's been so haphazard. I strongly believe that there must be some sanity in the system. Now, to ensure that there's sanity in it, in the law, the LI about the pricing, about manufacture, cement manufacturing that we just talked about, I introduced a committee to take charge of the activities that are spelled out in the LI. Now, I asked them in the last 1 month or so to make sure that there was a meeting of all the stakeholders, including the Ghana Cement Manufacturers Association, those guys, meeting all of them. That is after I had met with them many times in my own office to ram home to them the need for there to be some sense, some stability.
So you had the Trade Minister, Katie Hammond, justifying the essence of the LI. But Importers and Exporters Association believe that this LI fails to address the complex issues driving cement price escalation. Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Azaki Awingobet, says attempts to impose restrictions are dead on arrival.
We strongly believe that this is not the first time our trade minister is running to Parliament trying to pass a bill through the back door in order to disenfranchise the business community or investors in this country by trying to regulate. I strongly believe that this happened about a few months ago. You remember the 22 line item. This was the same mode in the same direction that the minister was going towards. We strongly believe that if you want to introduce such a public policy, and this is a public policy, we must have an interest in it, and he should know that there's a need for the minister to give courtesy, and by engaging us to also understand and also contribute. Remember that gone are the days that when you send a bill to Parliament, a secretary ministry send a bill to Parliament, then the Parliamentary Committee for Trade, Industry and Finance would want to invite the public interest to come and then bring in their input or speak to the issues. This time around, what they did is easy. They said, if you want to bring a bill and it has to affect a particular group of persons, please engage them before even you bring their consensus along with the bill, so that they will see to it that engagement was done, meetings was conducted. This was what was the submission. This is what we all agreed. Then when it become a bill, become a law, then it is good to go. We are all good to go. But in this regard, the minister did not consult anybody. And I'm sure today I've heard there was a crucial mission in Accra today, and I'm sure the minister is now coming back to Slumber to say, okay, look, let me have a meeting with them. It is important for you to have a meeting with the interest groups and to take their bad report. So, and of course, we are in a liberal economy. We are not in the economy whereby we are doing price control. Government didn't give any money to anybody to do business. Besides that, government is to create a narrow environment. And by creating a narrow environment, government should have also be thinking of how to meet some of the cost demands that the business community or the manufacturers are involving into paying charges, fees and charges at the port, utility charges, other corporate taxes. At least, if you want the price of cement product to come down, we are not saying do not advocate for, but why can't you also go and tell central government, look, as a Minister of Trade, should be the first person to be antagonizing business committee. Hence, I will go in love with them. But Finance Minister, be ready to give some of the taxes out so that in talking to them, I have something to bargain. And so that is the way to go.
So I heard that the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Azaki Awingobe, taking a swipe at the Trade Minister for proposing the LI seeking to control cement pricing. But let's go over the phone line and speak to the President of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Patrick Ebobonfo, for more. Patrick.
Hi.
Good to have you on the program. Firstly, what are the main challenges you face as real estate developers regarding cement pricing and availability?
Okay, thank you very much, and my greetings to all your viewers and listeners. Okay, so with cement, the challenge currently is the unending price increases. And it is also, these price increases are too frequent. It doesn't help us to plan. It doesn't help us to even, give projections, as to the cost of delivering one house. Because now the prices change. You go 1 week, you buy from a supplier. The following week, you go and they will tell you the price has changed. It is terrible. Assuming that I'm building for someone and we have already agreed on a fixed price. And building one house may take you not less than 6 months. So if weekly prices are increasing, just like that, my contract with the end user or of the house is fixed. So if you project that for a period of 6 months, you can imagine what will happen at the end of the day to the developer. Yes, so it's a very terrible situation.
So then, why do you laud this legislative instrument, despite pushback from the dealers of this product? Do you think this will curtail the issue of cement pricing in the country?
Okay, so, I've not had the opportunity to read the verbiage of the LI. However, on principle only, there was a time in this country where the government had to regulate petroleum prices. You see, so I am looking at it in principle that if this will introduce a mechanism by which we can all be able to, calculate and know, at least in the foreseeable future, how prices of a particular product will go. It helps planning. It helps as a business person. If you have no idea where the cost of materials you're using are going to go the next week or the next month, you just can't work. You can't continue like that. So if we have a mechanism in place, and that we all know the formula by which they determine their prices and how frequent that is going to happen, I am sure that if I come to you and I'm pricing my house to you, I will be very fair to you also and not overprice it, because I'm aware about the percentage increases in the price of the cement over that period of time where I have to build for you. So the customer also doesn't have to suffer unnecessarily. Some of the suppliers are taking advantage of this vulnerability in the market.
Why do you say so?
Well, the reason I say so is the reason why I'm sure the minister too is frustrated and is trying to push across such a control mechanism by way of the airline. So,
but the Importers and Exporters Association are concerned about this airline because they are saying that it fails to address the main issues behind the pricing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that I have not read the verbiage. But the principle around it, if the aim is to come out with a control mechanism, then that's fine. Maybe there should be further engagement with other stakeholders to arrive at an acceptable mechanism by which this thing can be done. I think that engagement I'm sure will go on. But at the end of the day, if we all have a predictable, a calculable, method by which things are done, it helps not only us who are the users of the cement, but the end user of the product that we are using the cement to produce. That is the customer, the Ghanaian, the ordinary citizen out there. And at the end of the day, they will benefit, and the nation will also benefit as a whole. So let's all sit down and look at it, and not that somebody will take advantage and they're making super profits, off the back of the situation.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. That was the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Patrick Ebobon, for their speaking to me.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Away from that, government has announced the release of over 103 million cedis as grant for Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty (LEAP program. The LEAP program was meant to ensure that vulnerable groups such as orphaned children, persons with severe disability and elderly persons who are 65 years and above receive cash support every other month for upkeep. However, since February 2024, these cash payments have not been made. In the following report, Umar Uthman tells a story of a single household facing financial hardship due to these delays and the impacting care for their 32-year-old son with severe disabilities.
At Abokobi, a suburb in the Greater Accra region, 59-year-old Mary Bojo readies her 32-year-old son Odate for the day. Due to the severity of his disabilities, Odate relies solely on his mother for everything, making it difficult for Mary to work in order to cater for the family. To help ease her struggles, Odate was put on the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program 7 years ago.
I was previously selling Gary to sustain my family, but 7 years ago, some people came to town to write the names of people with sick children. They started sending us money every 2 to 3 months.
4 years into the program, Mary managed to put up a small provision shop through the cash grant of 120 cedis she receives every 2 months.
I know you, Joanna. A cock panada, a cocoa, a ha, a do. Gama, no more where ma.
I am happy whenever the money comes in because we are able to use it for a number of things. Though the money is not enough, I am able to manage.
Despite the reliance on these bi-monthly cash grants, Mary, like other LEAP beneficiaries within the Ghana East Enclave, laments the lack of consistency with the payments. Since February 2024, no payments have been disbursed. Mariama Isa is a coordinator for the beneficiaries around Abokobi and says the situation is not peculiar to the area alone.
Beneficiary na me coordinate omo. Sometimes na ebi wo hokra na ni odi beto duane edi kra na oni.
In June 2023, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection announced plans of a 100% nationwide increment in the grant to reflect the worsening global socio-economic crisis. But Mariama says the joy of beneficiaries was short-lived.
I have been in touch with other beneficiaries and the situation is the same. There is so much pressure on us as coordinators because the beneficiaries keep calling me to find out if the money has been distributed. They are always disappointed with the response. I am a beneficiary myself. So believe me when I tell you that these delays are taking a huge toll.
Civil society organizations have consistently lamented on the effects the delays in payments is having on these vulnerable groups. Dr. Esther Ofeya-Boaje, who is the former director of the Institute of Local Government Studies, says any delay in payments can spell doom for many households relying on the LEAP grants. While beneficiaries anxiously await the next payment, Dr. Ofeya says government must address the inconsistencies that characterizes the program. Data available indicates by the end of 2023, the LEAP program had extended its reach to approximately 350,580 households, benefiting around 1.5 million individuals nationwide.
So you had a report by my colleague Nadima on a single household facing financial hardship due to these delays in cash payment from the LEAP program. Well, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dakwa Newman, has announced that government, following a thorough evaluation of the LEAP program and its impact on beneficiaries, is scaling up the program by increasing the amount allocated to each household. She adds that government has taken into account the prevailing inflation rate and rising cost of living. Take a listen to her.
We are here to inform all of you that the government, through this ministry, which is the Ministry of Gender, has doubled the payment or the cash grant that is given to LEAP beneficiaries. From next week, from the 1st of July, this new payment structure will take effect. We call this the doubling of the double because you're all aware last year what was being paid was doubled in June last year. And this year we are doubling that double. That's why we term it the doubling of the double. The government is really committed, as you know, to poverty alleviation. And we believe with factors such as inflation that has affected all of us in this country, it's necessary that the amount given to these beneficiaries is scaled upwards. What is being paid now for the bi-monthly payment would have covered 4 months, but now that is covering just 2. So we are putting in more, and we needed to ensure that we had the funding. We needed to ensure that we had covered all bases, and so it's part of the reason for the delay. There was also much education that needed to be done, sensitization on the government's plans, and so all that went into it. But we can assure you that once this payment is made, everything is settled and there will be no defaults going forward. On the LEAP program, we pay based on the number of eligible persons. That is, whether it's a 1-person household, 2-person household, 3 or 4 and more. So for now, for each household that has 1 eligible member, the person will be paid 256 Ghana cedis. For a household that has 2 eligible members, the household will receive 304 Ghana cedis. For 3 eligible member households, that will be 352 Ghana cedis. And for 4 eligible member households, that will be 424 Ghana cedis.
Dakwa Newman is the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
The Cybersecurity Authority has cautioned the public against subscribing to digital lending mobile applications, revealing a resurgence in cases of cyberbullying of users of these apps. The lending apps, according to the authority, usually unauthorized by the Bank of Ghana and Data Commission, request access to data on the victim's phone. The data, which includes possible nude photos of victims, is later used to extort from unsuspecting victims. The authority adds that there have been 130 cases reported so far this year. Take a listen to excerpt of the statement.
The Cybersecurity Authority has noted a resurgence in cases of cyberbullying experienced by users of digital lending mobile applications. The authority has so far received 130 of such reports in 2024. When a user installs the app, an amount, usually less than 200 Ghana cedis, is automatically credited into the user's mobile money wallet, even without an actual loan request. 1 week after disbursing the loan, the fraudsters use extortion tactics, including demanding loan repayment with high interest rates from the victim or an associate, threatening to circulate actual or fabricated nude photos of the victim on social media, threatening to label the victim as a thief or wanted criminal. Even after the victims repay, some fraudsters continue to demand additional payments. The apps that have been identified include Ahomka Loan, Ant Credits, Bean Loan, Best Loan, Bezo Money, Boom Loan, Cash Arrow, Cash Wave, CMGH Loan, Cozy Credits, Credits Bag, Diva Cash, Express Loan, 5 Loan, Full Credits, Home Credits, Intap Credits, Cashbee, Lever Credits, Lever Loan, Light Science, Loan Fast, Mega Credits, Mina Loan, Mix Loan, Omansika, Aussie Money, P Money, Perfect Loan, Poja Credits, Profits Loan, Pro Cash, Rose Loan, Safe Loan, Star Loan, Sun Trusts, Tip Cash, and Unique Credits. The apps are in contravention of the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930, according to the Bank of Ghana notice. In addition, the owners of the apps have not met the compliance obligations of the Data Protection Commission, and hence, their access and use of the data and PII of users violates the Data Protection Act 2012, Act 843. Victims would typically have granted these apps access to their data, that is, contacts and photos, and personally identifiable information, example, Ghana Card ID, during the installation. The public is strongly advised against subscribing to these mobile applications since they are not sanctioned by the Bank of Ghana and the Data Protection Commission.
So here the excerpt of a statement from the Cybersecurity Authority cautioning the public against subscribing to digital lending mobile applications, revealing that a resurgence in cases of cyber bullying of users of this app is rampant. We're trying to speak to Abdullahi Bashiru Dapila, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IYOCO, but when we get him, we will get back to that story. But let's move on to other stories. A flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says a future NDC will demand justice and compensation for victims of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence. Expressing this dismay, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has called on Ghanaians during a courtesy call to the National Chief Imam, Osman Sheikh Nuhu Shaributu, and one of the victims of the election violence, Yaro, John Mahama, highlighted the severity of the young man's problem resulting from the eruption of the violence and called on government to implement the recommendation of the Commission of Inquiry that was set up after the incident. Take a listen to him.
At the residence of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu, the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, called on the Muslim community to remain united and eschew violence. He also expressed optimism of winning the 2024 general elections.
As I said, traditionally every year I come to exchange greetings with my father, the National Chief Imam. I sent him a cow to enjoy the Salah, and so I came to find out how, his Salah had been. Aside from that, recently I heard he was not feeling too well. I'm happy to come and see that he's in very good health, and I want to thank him for the prayers that he has been saying for me, and to ask him to continue to pray for me and my party, the NDC. We know that this year is an election year, and we're praying that God should let us conduct this election peacefully, without any disturbances, without any violence. And may Ghana continue to prosper and be peaceful before, during, and after the election.
John Mahama also visited Ishao Yaro, a victim of the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence, and donated a television set, a freezer to the wife, as well as an undisclosed sum of money.
We all remember a few years ago what happened during the Ayawaso by-election. He was one of the victims of the unfortunate incidents that took place. He was hit by a gunshot, and since then it has affected his leg. He used to be a footballer. He used to play football very well. Because of that incident, now he cannot play football, and he can't work the way he should have been working. And so we haven't forgotten him. This is not the first time we're coming here. From time to time, we come and see how he's doing.
The flag bearer of the NDC also interacted with executives of the NDC in the Okankwe South constituency, where he encouraged them to work hard for the victory of the party.
Well, the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, has cautioned his colleague NPP MPs against negative commentary on the selection of Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as running mate. Some majority MPs, prominent among them is that of Asante Akem North and the Apiakubi, have shut down the choice of Napo as running mate. Addressing the media, Afenyo-Markins urged his colleagues to be mindful of the sensitive nature of the matter, arguing the party is yet to finalize the matter.
We should all respect party rules and understand that the times we are in are very sensitive times. We have an election just ahead of us, and we should be mindful of how we express certain views in the public space. Yes, we've all heard matters regarding our ticket. But no decision has been made yet. So I would want to encourage colleague members of parliament that we are in this together. There is no perfect person in this world. The language we use, it may not be helpful. So that is all my advice. Let us please be measured in the language we use. The flag bearer of the party has the confidence of the party, and I believe that he would use the structures of the party to come up with certain decisions that he has for us. So let us wait and at least respect the leadership of the party. We should not go out of our way to denigrate ourselves. We should not go out of our way to describe ourselves in a manner that will be unacceptable.
So he had the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, cautioning his colleague NPP MPs against negative commentary on the selection of Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as running mate for the NPP.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
To more stories, headquarters, popularly known as Kayaye, located at the Nima Market in the Ga East municipality, have been gifted some items including food, a blanket and cash donation for their upkeep. The Kayaye, who are mostly single mothers, caught the attention of donors due to unfavorable conditions they find themselves. Highly Favored Foundation, a non-profit organization which undertook the exercise, hint of rolling out skills training program for the Kayaye for sustainability and self-sufficiency.
decided to partner, just like Mr. Quay said, with Back to Worship Ministry. This is something we've done over and over again, and like he said, it's just sad. It's sad. Some of these ladies are raped on the street. Some of them are assaulted. When it's raining, some of them have to literally put their babies in a polythene bag. I have seen that myself before, and it's heartbreaking. We have a lot of celebrities in Ghana. We have a lot of politicians. We have a lot of, we can all come together and do something for these people. It's very sad. Last year, Highly Favored Foundation organized training sessions, skill training in decorations, baking, and several vocational areas for the Zongo girls that are part of the Kayaye community. We have year after year, we have donated and supported them, but it's always in our own little way. We can't do it all, so we are asking the government to set in. So once again, Back to Worship Foundation, Back to Worship Ministry, and Highly Favored Foundation, this is what we did today. God
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Away from that, government has assured residents whose properties are affected by the ongoing dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba stretch of the Accra Cape Coast Highway will be compensated. Traditional leaders in affected communities had lamented delay in payment of compensations during a visit by the Minority Caucus of the Roads and Transport Committee, but addressing the media during a visit by the members of the committee to the site of the project, CEO for the Ghana Highway Authority, Collins Donko, and Chief Director of the Ministry for Roads and Highways, Engineer Dr. Alhaji Abbas Mohammed, disclosed though some compensations were paid in 2006, an assessment will be done to ensure everyone with legitimate claim is paid. There is more in this report.
The community members affected by the dualization of the Kaswa-Winneba Road had expressed concerns about delays in payment of their compensation. Speaking to the matter upon the visit by the Roads and Transport Committee, the officials of the Ghana Highway Authority, as well as the Ministry of Roads and Highways, indicated that some affected residents have already been paid their compensation since 2006. However, much time has elapsed, and if there are any new claimants of compensation, an evaluation will be done and compensation be paid.
Structures, most of them, kiosks and containers, have sprung up. That is natural. But if you look largely at the major properties, they have complied, and it's kudos to the law-abiding citizens along this carriageway that will continue to engage them and for them to protect the reservation, because if you want more electricity, you want more roads, we should have the space to put them. So they have done very well.
We pray that there will not be any encumbrances where people frustrate the process to stall the project and even to extend the completion date. So that is why we are hoping, and I'm happy that you have assured that Ghana Highways Authority has a data, and let's fast track and see those people that have come up claiming that they have to be compensated, whether they are within the right of way or they are outside the right of way. We'll look at it and quickly we can pave way for the contractor to also have his peace of mind. But so far, so
the committee also visited the almighty Otrekon Bridge, which weeks ago got flooded, leaving water running into several homes within the enclave. Now, the contractor is still struggling to find a lid to this particular problem. He solicited for assistance from the Roads and Highways Ministry to ensure that the new bridge that is under construction is done and is done on time to contain the huge volumes of water running under the old bridge at Otrekon.
The existing relief culvert is way too low compared to the existing. So we had to open it up for the water to flow through the existing bridge, whilst we make another arrangement for a bigger capacity diversion. So we are in talks with the bridge maintenance unit to provide us with a Bailey bridge to help us with the diversion so that we can resume the construction of the deep foundations. Because currently, this is the piling rake that was involved in the construction of the piles, but because of the flooding and because of the fact that we can't close it, it's been sitting idle for over 2 weeks, and he's not happy with that. He wants to move the machine. So we are pushing for the bridge maintenance unit to provide us with a Bailey bridge so that we can resume work.
One other complaint which has been on the lips of commuters plying the Accra-Cape Coast Road is the issue of congestion and lack of enough diversions. The Chief Director for the Ministry for Roads and Highways, Engineer Dr. Abbas Aholu, speaks to the fact that enough measures have been deployed to address this particular challenge.
Yes, Honorable, there's a bypass. I think severally it's been advertised. But when you come to Kaswa at Crispo City and you go on the Opekuma Road, there's a road that brings you back to Big Apple, which is Big Apple is a little bit beyond there. So the contractor actually went and graded and improved the sections. You remember we had some time that this road was. So when you use that road, you completely bypass what is happening here. For the big trucks, they have no other choice than to come here.
The final stop for the members of the Roads and Transport Committee is the project that is seeking to dualize the Madina Dodowa Road. And of course, over there, the contractors are busily on site undertaking the project. However, there are concerns about, again, payment of compensations.
Properties that are sitting within the right of within the reservation. And we need to take a critical look at that and see how best we can first limit it. And also, because these days, the properties that are left, we need to find out if they have to be there, whether they have the building, the building permit, and how much it costs, and all that. So, if you have to demolish anything, you need to pay compensation before the person will.
Reporting for GA.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
So let's go back to our earlier story where the National Democratic Congress in the Central Constituency, we understand, is on fire following the withdrawal of Nurain Shaibu as its parliamentary candidate. The embattled candidate has been accused of engaging in anti-party conduct and immoral act. Let's go over the phone line and speak to the NDC Communications Officer for Asin Central, Emmanuel Abdoni. Hello, sir, and thank you for making time to speak with us.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Good evening. The party withdrew and suspended Nurain Shaibu, citing anti-party conduct and immoral act. You are the NDC Communications Officer for the constituency. What really happened to warrant the sanction?
Okay, first and foremost, let me say good evening to our listeners and then the good people of Ghana. Let me use this opportunity to say a good evening to the incoming President, John Dramani Mahama, and all Ghanaians. Yes, yesterday we heard the news that our parliamentary candidate, Nurain Shaibu, the incoming MP, as I call him the incoming MP, has been suspended from the party, and then his candidature has been also withdrawn. In fact, we're not happy as a constituency. I wish you were here to see the mood of the people. It was so bad. But then this morning, the branch executives gathered, displayed red bands, demonstrated, spoke with the press, and all that. I think now they even started some petition. They want to petition the national executive to do something about it. But I spoke with him, and then he's in good condition. He told me the matter is already with his lawyers, and I know the lawyers have also written to the party to that effect. So as it stands now, he doesn't want us to touch on the substance. But I can tell you on authority that our leader, Nurain Shaibu, is a gentleman, God-fearing. Interestingly enough, I live in the same vicinity with him. So I know a lot about this whole thing. But at the right time, I mean, the truth will come out, and then the good people of Ghana will see the kind of person we nearly crucified. I can tell you on authority that just this evening, when the news broke again, that our General Secretary has issued a statement to that effect, that he would want to meet our regional chairman, and for that matter, that decision more or less would have to be revisited. The feeling is out. The feeling is just too much here. So the love the people have for Nirin is just unprecedented. Because as you're all aware, 2020 he contested with Kennedy Japan and performed creditably well. He gave Kennedy Japan a real showdown, and then we all saw his performance. This time around too, he went unopposed. So the constituents, everybody's already behind him. The kind of things this young man is doing for the good people of our Saint Central is just too much, so marvelous. So we were so sad that such an allegation would be leveled against or thrown at him just to muddy the water. But I can tell you on authority that all these machinations, at the end of the day, is not going to work. The good people of Asin will make a decision, and then the good people of Ghana will get a servant. And I know, not only to the good people of Asin Central, but Nirin Sharp Mijima is going to be an asset to the entire nation. He's a young man, vibrant, energetic, highly respected, and very God-fearing. At the end of the day, I know I'll come back again and then give you details, very details, when matters settles, and then be allowed to go into the nitty-gritties.
I spoke to the Deputy National Communications Officer for the NDC, Godwin, and he said that they still see Shaibu as their parliamentary candidate. But are you not worried about the possible negative fallout from this particular decision?
No, not at all, not at all. The good people of Asin Central know the kind of person they want to lead the constituency. So this doesn't bother us at all. But when the issue came, like I said, I live in the same vicinity with this honorable young man. And then all these things are, trust me, at the end of the day, the truth will come out, and then the truth is already out here, because I can say on authority, the truth is already out here, and the people are just celebrating. And this is going to turn just around, because people think maybe that tag will more or less drop or reduce his vote. But interestingly enough, the good God that we worship, the good God that we serve, when you're serving God, make sure you do the right thing. Look, no amount of intimidation, lies, do anything, but there's no way lies can, subdue truth. Truth will always come out. So the good of people of Asin Center are happy about the outcome now. We are so grateful to the leadership of the party. We are NDC. Our issues are normally not discussed on the media space. We have structures to deal with our internal issues. And I will still salute the General Secretary, the party leadership, for taking this action, because this would have affected the party at the grassroots. Because, like I said this morning, over 2,000 grassroots leadership, branch chairman, branch executives poured into the street, trying to demonstrate. But we have to calm them down. That leadership is handling the issue. And for that matter, the right decision will be. So we thank the leadership, and I believe the truth will come out eventually.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was the NDC Communications Officer for the Asin Central Constituency, Emmanuel Abdoni, there, who is also speaking on behalf of the embattled parliamentary candidate for the constituency.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
Let's move on to Parliament, because we understand special committee set up to investigate a plot to remove Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare as IGP finds indicted officers in contempt of Parliament, recommends referral of report to President Akufo-Addo for sanctions against these said officers. Our parliamentary correspondent Ibrahim Al-Hassan is on phone for more on this. IB. Hello, IB, can you hear me?
I can hear you today.
What more are we learning from this?
Well, so first of all, the committee, through its findings in this report that we have intercepted, establishes that indeed the three police officers, COP Alex Mensah, Lieutenant Asari, and Lieutenant JB, conspired with former Northern Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bukuri Nabu, to remove George Akuffo Dampare as IGP. This is a finding that has been established, that indeed there was a conspiracy, and that the conspiracy was aimed at targeting George Akuffo Dampare, the IGP, for removal from office. Again, the lead audio that we brought to listeners has been established to be authentic, and this was corroborated by the players in this whole circus. And I'm talking about COP Alex Mensah, JB, Superintendent JB, and then Superintendent Asari. Again, if you move to the other key findings of this particular report, it's actually a 21-page report. It also talks about the fact that Superintendent Asari, Superintendent JB have been found to be in contempt of Parliament, because when they appeared before this special committee chaired by Samuel Atatia, they took an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. But indeed, what they did was to lie to the committee, and those lies have been found out to be, as they were, lies. And as a result, they have been found to be in contempt of Parliament. Of course, so it talks about the fact that the committee took notice of the testimonies of Chief Bukuri Nabu, COP Alex Mensah, Superintendent Asari, with respect to matters concerning election security management within the context of the Ghana Police Service's election security management role, and by extension, the role of the IGP as head of the National Election Security Task Force, and its implication on free, fair, and transparent elections. The report goes further to say that in evaluating the testimonies of Chief Bukuri Nabu, COP Mensah, Superintendent Asari, and Superintendent JB in respect of the attempt to conspire to remove the current IGP to allow for the appointment of an IGP capable of assisting the breaking the eight, the committee is of the considered view that should the motivation behind the witnesses' conspiracy to remove the IGP materialize, it could compromise the integrity of the election process in terms of safeguarding free, fair, and transparent election outcomes. Additionally, according to this particular report, the testimonies of Chief Bukuri Nabu, COP Alex Mensah, and Superintendent Asari in terms of the conspiracy to remove the IGP based purely on partisan consideration, as well as the suggestion of recourse to unorthodox mafia tactics in a constitutional democracy dispensation, who undermine the will of the electorate, thereby compromising free, fair, and transparent elections. Consequently, apart from its potential of compromising the outcome of the elections, it is the considered view of the committee that a partisan or politicized election security management regime could also undermine the sanctity of Ghana's nascent democracy. Again, there was also allegation of administrative injustice. Officers being due for promotion, and the IGP refusing, or the police administration refusing to promote them. The view of the committee is that these matters were before the court, and then also before the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Right? You are aware that just about 2 weeks ago, the High Court made a pronouncement on this particular matter, and then the police administration has been exonerated. The IGP has equally been exonerated of these allegations of failing to promote officers who were due promotion. So the considered view of the committee is that because these allegations were already before the law court and enshrined, they were unable to go into it. Let me give you a quote here. The committee further noted that issues pertaining to administrative injustice, such as promotions, were already before a court of competent jurisdiction and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Right? The complaints regarding promotions were sub judice. Therefore, the committee was unable to interrogate the matter. Now, let me take you to extrajudicial killings. That was also another allegation that was made by Superintendent JB. And the committee says the committee took notice of the allegations of extrajudicial killings made by Superintendent Asari. Consequently, the committee presented Superintendent Asari with the opportunity to substantiate the allegations. However, Superintendent Asari was unable to substantiate his allegations. And so that claim has been summarily dismissed. Now, finally, Dede, if you come to the contempt of parliament, as I have indicated, it says the committee noted that the following actions sought to undermine the authority of parliament. One, Superintendent Jebi, during his testimony under oath on 31st August 2023, denied ever speaking to Chief Bugri Nabu directly on his phone or on the phone of Superintendent Asari. However, when he appeared before the committee again on 10th of October 2023, he changed his earlier testimony and affirmed that he indeed spoke to Chief Bugri Nabu on phone. Thus, and quote, in the question, I quote, have you ever spoken to someone on Superintendent Asari's phone who claims to be Bugri Nabu? And the answer I gave is incorrect. I answered no, and I want to change it to yes. And this is a direct quote from the testimony of Superintendent Jebi. So consequently, the committee has found both Superintendent Jebi and Superintendent Asari in contempt of Parliament. And finally, so to speak, the recommendation of the committee is that these findings be sent to the President. And per the Police Service Act, the President is the only individual who is clothed with the powers to punish errant officers. And so consequently, the committee's report will be sent to the President, and the President will determine the appropriate punishment for these 3 senior police officers.
All right. Thank you so much, IB. IB Ibrahim Alassan is our parliamentary correspondent speaking to me there, giving us update because we understand that this special committee is set up to investigate a plot to remove Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare as IGP has found indicted officers in contempt of parliament and also recommends referral of report to the President for sanctions against the said officers.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
To other stories, the United Nations Resident Coordinator Charles Abani has emphasized that regardless of how well domestic resources are generated, there will be insufficient to solve Ghana's problems. Speaking at the second Civil Society Organization Forum in Accra, Charles Abani highlighted the governance challenges across Africa and urged CSOs to focus on conceptual issues that could guide Ghanaian voter choices in the upcoming December 7 elections. There's more.
At an inflection point, strategizing for increased legitimacy, effectiveness and sustainability was organized by Starr Ghana Foundation and its partners. The forum serves as a common platform for CSOs in Ghana to deliberate and reflect on their work as facilitators of good governance and inclusive development.
It's a call to action to all of us, whether we are operating at the national level or the local levels, that we have a role to play in the development of this country. We are critical to achieving a just and equitable society, but we cannot fulfill that mandate. We cannot fulfill that purpose if we don't put our house in order, if we don't speak with common voice on critical issues, and we don't nurture, support, and criticize each other where necessary.
The maiden edition hosted by Starr Ghana Foundation in March 2022 was on the theme Reflections on the Conceptual and Developmental Issues of CSOs in Ghana and the Sustainability Challenge.
Constructing the norms of the society constitute and that we can associate with being civil is an area of work that Ghanaian civil society, indeed global civil society organizations, need to pay a lot more attention and to discuss the society we want to see, to which we associate with being civil.
The guest speaker and UN Residence Coordinator, Charles Abani, expressed unhappiness that Africa is not benefiting from democracy.
We are seeing that no matter how we define domestic resource generation, it's going to be insufficient to solve the problem. Ghana's estimate 43 billion a year between now and 2030 to achieve the SDGs, not including the issues that have come along since then, COVID, impacts of different things. Unless we actually find new and different ways of generating resources, we will not succeed.
He urged CSOs to go beyond the simplistic analysis to help Ghana's democracy to work.
Are you just an oxygen for a democracy that holds us in inertia? Or are you the oxygen for a thoughtful democracy that will actually change things? And so in this last 6 months, rather than the identities that people have around political affiliation or not, focus on these conceptual issues and who is driving and going to deliver the best change. And maintain the appropriate distance you can, that you must, in order to maintain your legitimacy, from either one of these two contesting notions about how to deliver a better Ghana.
The forum attracted over 300 participants who deliberated on 3 sub-themes: ensuring legitimacy with constituents and stakeholders, achieving effectiveness as organizations, and ensuring sustainable operations, revenues, and impacts.
One thing that I think we are
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
You're listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. In business tonight, Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markins has clarified that the movement of the chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwatin, to the Economy Committee is a promotion. The Majority Leader, during the presentation of a business statement, announced the changes. Minority argued the removal of the Obuasi West MP from the Finance Committee is as a result of his failure to see through the passage of the over $300 million tax waivers for some One District, One Factory companies. The Efutu MP announced the former Deputy Finance Minister will now become the majority spokesperson on the economy. But clarifying his comment on the floor, Alexander Afenyo-Markins explained the caucus decided to reposition Mr. Kwatin to before articulate its position on economic matters.
If you look at the new committees of Parliament, we now have a finance committee, we now have an economy committee. Now, the point here is that in an election year, any serious political party would want to project its best. And we know that our respected colleague, Honorable Kweku Kwatin, very hard-working member of Parliament. During Kufuor's time, he was a spokesperson on the economy. He was a government spokesperson. We came to Parliament. He was a member of the Finance Committee, just like my good self. And when we won power, he was a Deputy Minister of Finance. He has appeared on many media platforms speaking for government on issues of economy, and currently our Finance Committee chair. Now, finance is a subset of the economy. Finance is part of the economy. So we felt that with this new committee coming up, it is important to, as it were, elevate our respected colleague to this new committee to chair the economy committee, so that they can take the fight to the NDC. Because so far they claim they have answers to the economic challenges. But we know that our friend, our brother, our respected colleague who has the competence in that area can better showcase our issues on the economy when he is made the majority spokesperson on the economy. So that is the good news. I don't know why our friends, I don't want to mention the media house, but one of our media houses has put out there that somebody has been removed. You know, that is not fair to the issue. So I just want that to be clarified, so that, you know, we understand that to be so.
So you had the majority leader, as Alexander Afenyo-Markins, clarifying that the movement of the chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwatin, to the Economy Committee is a promotion. Unlike report out there, still on business, traders and business leaders in Ghana are calling for the complete removal of the electronic transactions levy, e-levy, on mobile money transactions. Implemented 2 years ago by government, the e-levy was intended to raise additional revenue to support government programs. The applicable charge has undergone reviews to protect lower income consumers, but has had a limited impact. My colleague Rosemond Akoko has been engaging with the business community and has more in this report.
Mobile money has significantly improved financial inclusion in Ghana since its introduction by the telecommunications sector, bridging the gap for the unbanked and providing employment opportunities, particularly for the youth. According to the Bank of Ghana's summary of the economic and financial outlook for the first 4 months of the year, the total value of mobile money transactions reached 779.1 billion Ghana cedis, representing a 41.55% year-on-year growth. However, data revealed a slight decline in March 2024 to 181.9 billion Ghana cedis, followed by an increase to 203 billion Ghana cedis in April 2024. Despite its positive impact on economic growth and financial inclusion, the business community argues that high tax burdens, including the e-levy, have driven many to revert to using physical cash.
When you look at first, if I want to send money to my sister or any other person I want to send money to, I could send as much as I can send, 10,000 and the rest. But now, in fact, because of the e-levy, even if you want to send to somebody, if the person is not far, what the person will say is that maybe if you think you are not far, you meet me here and give me the money. Because I can sit here and send money to somebody in Timpani or even in Boku here. But imagine sending money up to 50,000 or a huge money. Then either you go to the station and get a colleague or a friend who is going to maybe Boku or Bolga, then you give the money to the person, or you go to the bank. Though there are charges there, but the money that could have, or if you send it through mobile money, the amount they will pick as e-levy. In fact, if you think of it, you won't even send. Yes.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, noted that although the e-levy was reduced to 1%, the sector is experiencing only nominal growth. He expressed hope that the e-levy would be scrapped.
I'm hopeful that come January 2025, whether it is Vice President Baumia or his ex-president John Mahama who are president, e-levy will not be a thing, that will be a thing of the past. And then in the process, we should be able to then grow our financial inclusion, push our digitalization strategy, get a lot more of the adoption of using digital channels for payment. And then you would be able to, in the process, get a lot more businesses to use it. And then GRA would also have a lot more visibility, and then they can go after the corporate income taxes.
Visits to the mobile money agents and traders in Boko, in the Upper East region, and across central markets revealed that transactions are gradually decreasing as traders resort to alternative methods for sending money.
Not like those days. They receive, but not like those days. It has reduced. Some people don't have options, but those that have options, they go to the bank to do their transactions. And some people don't have transactions. The few that don't have options, they come to deposit. So in general, I would say that our transactions has gone down due to the introduction of the e-levy.
In fact, the e-levy, it really affects our business a lot. Like, for instance, those people who are transacting business with that, due to the e-levy, some of them have dumped their SIMs because of the charges. In fact, you can even have like 1,000 in your phone to transfer a customer, in which what you are buying, the profit inside there will not be less than 20 cedis, but the e-levy can take you up to 30 cedis or 25 cedis. In fact, if you are...
Consumer activists and digital experts Samuel Dowona told GH1 TV that abolishing the e-levy would promote the cashless agenda and enhance financial inclusion.
A lot of people, a lot of businesses have stopped making transfers. They've gone back to checks. The very paper thing that we say we are moving because of which we want to do digitization. Now, a lot of people are going back to checks because if I issue a check, I'm not going to be paying any 20,000. Imagine a business is paying maybe a staff about 1,500 or 2,000. 20,000 is going to pay 10 people's salary, and you say we should use that to pay tax for just one transfer.
Some financial experts are calling for a re-evaluation of the e-levy, urging policymakers to find a balance that supports both revenue generation and the continued growth of mobile money services to sustain a cashless economy and ensure financial inclusion. Reporting for GH1 TV and Starr FM, Rosemond Akwoko Ajete.
So he had a report on traders and business leaders in Ghana calling for the complete removal of e-levy on mobile money transactions.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Let's do some sports stories now. Mohamed Kudus, Inaki Williams, Osman Bukhari and others will battle for prestigious Player of the Year award at the Ghana Football Awards to be held on Saturday at the Dome, Accra International Conference Center. The Ghana Football Award scheme, which is in its 6th year, will recognize 22 male and female Ghanaian and African footballers who have been exceptional in the past year. Felix Romang, a board member of the Ghana Football Award, has been explaining the rationale behind this award.
If you look all around the world, I think that there's been award for players that exhibit or give us the emotions that we get when it comes to football. There's been players who, I think, for Ghana, we haven't really appreciated what they've been doing all over the world. I see awards night for different, in terms of music, in terms of movies and all that. And we thought that even for Ghana, only musicians, we've had even industry players in oil and field and awarding themselves. Absolutely. And we that also love our football, what are we doing for our footballers? So we decided, why don't we come out with an event that can motivate players to do more? Why don't we also come out with an award scheme that can appreciate the effort that these players put into within the course of the season? So we didn't believe that we could be doing this for the past 6 years, but the first year went well. That was way back in 2018, and since then it's been a success. And the players themselves have come to appreciate it because it also kind of increased their value. You being named Ghana best footballer of the year. It's something that we really, the players really appreciate, and we are happy that without their support, without their performance, we can't have an initiative like this or a platform to reward them.
Felix Romak is a board member of the Ghana Football Awards, is speaking to my colleague Benjamin Yamwa earlier today. And this brings us to the end of Starr Today here on Starr 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a wonderful evening.